Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about an interesting topic. And today we are talking about the emotional toll of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. The emotional toll of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. And my very special guest is normally in the comments, but she's on the other side of the camera tonight, Miss Donnda Tillmon. Super excited and delighted to have her with me tonight. But before I bring her on, I need to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, and your comments and questions are very much so welcome. But please put your city and state in the comments so we can give you a shout out. This is an interactive, I said it, interactive live. And so we fully expect to hear from you. Again, we're talking Alzheimer's, dementia, and how to care for yourself as caregiver of your loved ones with this debilitating disease. I see my mom is already present and accounted for. Hey, Ma, greetings from Miami. Thank you for being here. Love you, love you. Hope you're doing well. Dr. Monica Muldrow Brooks, Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Please, y'all, like, share, and tag a friend and tell them they need to be involved in this conversation today. They need to be involved in this conversation today because I know y'all dealing with this out here and probably think it's nothing you can do, but we're going to offer some solutions potentially. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share some of Miss Donda's bio. So Donnda Tillmon is the founder and chief executive officer at Sara's Legacy Palm Senior Care, where she specializes in Florida's home health care landscape. She's been a key player in Florida's home health and patient care advocacy for more than 30 years, specializing in home health solutions that promote successful solutions and outcomes for clients, families, and communities. SLP, which is Sara's Legacy Palms, works with clients and families to create a customized plan of care and manage it in every step of the way. Donnda manages experienced RNs, LPNs, CNAs, home health aides, companions, and 24-hour accessible staff who consistently provide the highest quality medical and non-medical care to families in need. Donnda is a member of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, the National Society of Leadership and Success, and recently recognized as an Entrepreneur Woman on Fire finalist by the Tallahassee Woman's Magazine. She graduated with both her bachelor's degree in healthcare management and master's in business administration with a concentration in healthcare management from St. Leo University, and experiences that instilled a commitment to continuous learning and appreciation for the intersection of business, regulation, and innovation in the healthcare space. Y'all help me welcome Miss Donnda Tillmon. What's going on? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Nicole. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Tell the people who is Donnda. Not what you do, but who are you?
I am a woman of faith, a mother of three, a grandmother of three, Uh, Celebrating pretty much all month long. My oldest granddaughter graduating on tomorrow night. Shout out to Kate and Young Johnson.
Woo, 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 woo.
And just all around individual who love lending a helping hand, lifelong learner, um, and a caregiver.
Yes, yes, a woman after my own heart. So you and I have most recently gotten acquainted, and I recognize a number of those things that you have mentioned. So um, thank you for walking in that space and doing all of the things that you do.
Thank you.
So we have a number of people that have joined us. Miss Kiosha here in Tallahassee. She said, "Hey, Donnda."
Yo, Shay.
We got Janita on. Thank you for being here. Kathy Gray. I am Kathy's sister to Donda in Arizona. I love to see this. Thank you. Our pleasure. We be breaking her out of her shell a little bit. All right, we got Sharice Du Bois. Happy Monday, who is in the ATL. Again, y'all, please like and share and tag a friend and tell them they need to be part of this great conversation. So, before we dive into our topic, I want you to just share a little bit about your business and what kind of prompted you to start it.
Actually, my business is a in-home healthcare agency, and we offer a variety of medical, non-medical um, things such as transportation, household help, chronic disease care, personal care, companionship, aftercare for people who have recently had surgery. We do meal prep. Um, Definitely specialize in dementia and Alzheimer's care, and end of life support care. And we're not only working with seniors, but we also offer care to families who may be dealing with children who have a debilitating disease or disability.
Wow, nice. Um, so I'm sure you stay pretty busy.
Very,
Mm-hmm.
very.
And what does an ideal staff member or team member look like for you?
An ideal staff member, team member is what I generally look for is someone who has the passion for this kind of work. It's certainly not a job for the faint or for the weak. You have to have a heart. It's pretty much a calling, honestly, to this kind of service to the public. Um, and so that's generally what I look for, somebody who has the same heart and passion as I do.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so I have said that uh, quite often that it does take. This is a ministry. This is a calling, and so I have not seen you work, but I've heard you talk about your work, and you speak very passionately about it. So, which is kind of why we are here today, because you know,
That's
the
what I
people, the people need to hear what you got to say.
do.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Kiosha said, "This is so awesome. Is Sarah's Legacy Palms and ALF?"
No, we are in-home health. So ideally, what we do is try to help our elderly age gracefully at home, is our motto.
Mm-hmm.
But Kiosha, you prophetically speaking, we're looking for that. We're looking for that.
All right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love it. All right. We got Miss Potter down in Miami. Thank you for being here. Janita, she said, I love the nurture drawing on Miss Donda's wall. Nice. Yes, it's beautiful. All right. We got Dr. Sherry Sutton Johnson. Good evening. It's a labor of love. Thank you for being here, Dr. Sherry. We got Sheila Morris. Thank you for being here, Sheila. Shalia. Hey, Donna. Hey, Nicole. Lisa B. Thank you for being here. All right. And in home. Okay. I'm not sure what that was, but okay. Don, this company takes care of one of my family members. Okay, Walter. Thank you for being here. He said they are wonderful help. We appreciate that. And we got Enigma Sep in the house. Thank you for being here. So Tallahassee is strong here tonight. We appreciate you. All right, so let's dive into this topic. Let's dive into this topic, which is the emotional toll of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia.
Actually, Nicole, I'd like to start with the statistics because most people don't really realize the number of people that actually dementia and Alzheimer's affect.
Mm-hmm.
The A study that was just recently done by the New York University School of Medicine back in January
Mm-hmm.
actually shows that there is an anticipated jump that is largely uh, prone to women,
Mm.
Black people,
Mm.
and those of us or others who are over the age of 75. But I
Mm.
think the alarming thing that got me was dementia typically starts around the age of 55. Um, and at such an alarming rate by 2060.
Mm.
This translates into an estimated 500,000 people alone this year diagnosed with dementia and increasing by 1 million each year thereafter up to the year of 2060. That's,
Whoa,
yes, that's alarming,
very.
very alarming. Um,
So, what are we hearing on the prevention front?
well, the prevention front is, of course, diet,
Mm-hmm.
exercise, um, hypertension, diabetes, controlling all of those things.
Right.
Insomnia is a huge trigger that's found, lack of sleep. It
Hmm.
used to be an old tale that said people who had Alzheimer's would be people like nurses, doctors, people who read a lot. But that's a myth with everything that I look at.
Okay. Interesting. I hadn't heard that one before.
But lack of exercise, poor mental health,
Hmm.
it's
Wow.
another trigger. And so, we certainly have to get to a place of um, learning the daily challenges for one as a caregiver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once we begin to educate ourselves there, then it's getting somewhere where we can actually um, learn to deal with those triggers and things that come along with caregiving as a whole. And you don't necessarily have to be a person who takes care of someone who is ill.
Mm-hmm.
A mother is a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so all of those things we have to basically kind of learn what it is that we need to do and take care of ourselves. Self-care is huge uh, when it
Abs-
comes to this kind of thing. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. We got a few more comments. I want to acknowledge them. Donda is all heart and passion. It warms my heart to see her flowing in her gift. Keep being great. Thank you,
Thank
Kiosha.
you, Shay.
Yes. So Terry and Layla are here. All right. Thank you for being here. We got Dr. Williams with us. Thank you for being here, Dr. Williams. Tracy says such an important topic given our aging population. Absolutely. And we got Miss Jeanette down in Miami Gardens. Thank you for being here, Miss Jeanette. So I'm still kind of like taken aback by these numbers. You said 1 million per year.
Yeah.
And this is diagnosed.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew.
For so long, if we think about our parents and our grandparents, oftentimes repeating themselves or such as asking you the same question, and then 2 minutes 2 minutes later they're either telling you the same story or asking you and we thought it was funny when we were younger. And I can remember my mom, although she didn't have dementia or Alzheimer's, but she used to tell me I used to laugh at my grandmother a lot, and she
Mhm.
used to tell me, okay, keep living. My
Mm,
grandma had Alzheimer's, and I end up being one of her key caregivers.
mm,
Help take the
mm,
load off my mom, and so we have to educate ourselves. That's the
mhm,
thing. Otherwise we go with that. Granny's getting old, she's just forgetful. You know,
mhm,
not having patience. Grandma, you just asked me that question 2 minutes ago. Those
mm.
are all signs.
Yeah.
Those are all signs, and so we need to know. Um,
So let's uh, we can so let's deal with the signs. All right. So those are some signs. Anything else that you know folks should be mindful of? And we talked about some of the causes, right? We talked about diet, we talked about exercise, we talked about not getting uh en- enough sleep, right? Insomnia.
mhm.
But anything else that we need to be, that we need to be aware of, be mindful of.
Behavior changes such
Mm,
as aggression, agitation,
okay.
um, change in communication,
Mm,
uh, not being able to put their words together. Um, those are the key that comes to mind currently,
okay.
which are huge. Sometimes even hearing loss.
Hmm.
You know,
And so if like all of the things that you've listed are the case, what should folks do? Is there like a test that can be taken to determine diagnoses or
primary care physicians will often do what's called a mental exam.
okay.
And that includes asking you to repeat 3 words that they just gave you backwards.
Okay.
Asking who's the president of the United States, what year is it, what floor are you on.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the beginning. However, a neurologist is who really needs to do the workup,
Okay.
usually MRI or CAT scan, to make that diagnosis, to see exactly uh, what part of the brain has been affected
Mm-hmm.
or is deteriorating.
Gotcha.
Usually, communication, unable to put your words together,
Mm-hmm.
and being repetition in speaking is usually the very first telltale signs.
Okay.
And as it progresses, you see things like not knowing where you are, uh,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing who their loved ones are,
Mm-hmm.
being confused about days and time,
Gotcha.
things of that nature.
Okay. So we got a few comments. Janita, she said I've seen them DX
Diagnose.
diagnose. Okay. Denial on both sides, the patient and family members.
That's true.
Mm,
That's why you have to advocate,
yeah.
advocate. So
Mm,
you got to educate yourself to be able to advocate.
mm-hmm. Good point. Kiosha, she said, I've had family members with Alzheimer's. Is one of the cruelest diseases. Caregivers of those with Alzheimer's needs this type of support. How do we help these caregivers that feel insulted when advised they need support and self-care? Mm,
Well, um, acknowledging you need help is the beginning.
mm-hmm,
And so if you're insulted by the fact that someone suggests you need help, it's kind of hard to open the door to grant that. However, there are groups like the Big Ben Hospice, there's the Alzheimer's Project,
mm-hmm.
Tallahassee Senior Care even offer classes and self-help groups. And not just the caregiver, but family members should take advantage of anything that's offered uh, along the way to help one understand and two how to handle your family member.
No, that's good. I'm going to get the viewers involved. Have any of you used any of those support services or know someone who has used Big Man Hospice or the Alzheimer's Project or the Senior Center to provide support for either you or a loved one that was caring for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia? let us know in the comments. Let us know if you don't mind sharing. Again, safe space for us to engage with one another. So I think the things that I really wanted to dive in, because I was very intrigued by our initial conversation, was about like caring for the person with Alzheimer's or dementia, some of the nuances of that, and how you as caregiver need to maybe do some things to kind of take care of yourself. Take care of yourself while you are caring for them. Outside of being patient. I mean, I think that's like the base foundation for this whole conversation.
True, but you really would be surprised of the number of people who lack patience,
Mm-hmm.
caregivers included.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you have to be extremely passionate. There are tools that you learn, because every individual is different.
Right.
And most of the time, you find that, especially when you find family members taking care of their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really been thinking a lot about this lately, even as I began to get older. It's extremely important for families to sit down and offer history, share stories,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't understand your loved one, it's hard to care for them.
Yeah.
You just say, oh, she's just being mean, or he's being cantankerous. But really, what's happening is they're going back to pretty much their young adult life, if not their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so the roles are reversed, even though most of the time you're seen as the kid and not, the daughter of the adult son who's now taking care of mommy or daddy. They
Mm-hmm.
still see you as their child. So trying to tell them what to do uh, doesn't always register correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They may see it as you being, disrespectful. And so communication is key, learning to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
how to communicate. You don't want to be argumentative. You want to keep the environment calm. You want to keep your voices low.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want to maybe even try some um, reminiscing therapy, I would call it. And
Okay.
and that's why I say it's key for families to start recording, history,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to know what mommy did, what daddy did, the things that inspired them, because
Mm.
those are things that they remember.
Yeah.
The issue with the disease itself is short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
What you told them 10 minutes ago is just not remembered.
Yeah.
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 So
No, that's good. So Janita, she said, yes, I've used Big Ben Hospice. Thank you for the link. She said, I started you doing yoga nidra through the Institute. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And Squeaky just joined us. Thank you for being here. Kathy, she said, on aphasia dementia, how can you get help, and is there a way to figure out to get better on it?
Aphasia, I believe she's talking about semantic aphasia dementia, what they
Okay.
call SAD.
Okay.
Um, that usually affects the frontal lobe. If we
Mm-hmm.
got to get a little medical here, which takes away from, things like, again, putting those words together, remembering when you're looking at a dog, you're not quite able to say it's a dog. You know it's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bring that word forward.
Yeah.
And so you can do things like speech therapy. You can get tools like puzzle books and things of that nature to kind of help you along the way,
Mm-hmm.
maybe somewhat slow that process down. But sadly, there's no cure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Miss Marva Butler is on. Thank you for being here. She said University of Miami is looking for Blacks to do studies on Alzheimer's and other diseases to help understand our family's genes. Yes.
That's good.
She's down in Miami.
Okay.
Wow. All right. So, I mean, I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we are almost close to halfway being.
Oh, wow.
I know, I know. We had need to look. I told you. Anyway, Janita, she said before my brother passed away, he had a traumatic brain injury. I often explained to people that it was similar to dealing with someone with Alzheimer's. He didn't remember a lot of things and was very combative. It
Mhm.
was a difficult time for our entire family. I'm
Mhm.
sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, so patience, communication, and with the communication, calm voice, because y'all know I'm taking notes. Low voice, reminiscing, recording history.
Mhm.
Uh, anything else as a caregiver that you might want to, any tools you might want to use to help you while you are caregiving, caring for your loved one?
It is extremely important for caregivers to alleviate neglecting self-care,
Mm,
because if you're not in a good space or place, it is extremely difficult to help somebody.
mm-hmm,
If you feeling isolated, it's kind of hard to, or depressed, it's difficult for you to separate the two, especially if you really fall into a deep dive.
yeah.
So you've got to take care of self in order to take care of others. It's like how can you lower your blood pressure if you're going to eat pork all day and
Mm,
miss your medicine?
mm-hmm,
So how can you help a loved one if how can you take care of a loved one if you're not going to take care of yourself, is
yeah.
really what I'm getting at.
So, and you and I talked about this. Some of that self care too may be walking away.
Yeah, like when I said make sure that you keep the room calm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your loved ones can get combative or become combative, agitated, or aggressive because, one, they feel like they've lost their independence.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're talking about somebody who doesn't remember in the moment, but they remember, you know, seeing you knowing you as a kid, and so that's how they see you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, rather than being argumentative and saying no, or basically exchanging words that's going to create a problem, then it's always good to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
One, they don't remember in the moment, so walking away and then coming back and revisiting and opening up another conversation is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Walking away gives you a minute to woosah, if I may use that word,
Hey.
and then coming back and revisiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay. Now, one of the other things that you and I talked about was n- don't use the word no.
don't use the word no.
Mm,
Again, you're dealing with the person who see you most often as their child. And just imagine in your mind, mom and dad says, go do such and such, and you said no. Usually that brings about, a backlash, a
mm,
back end, really. But and so telling them no is just not optimal.
mm,
You have to use what we call reality orientation, and
mm,
that's being where they are. And most people say, well, no, I don't want to tell a lie. Well, you're not telling a lie. Basically, you are navigating around the issue of no.
mm,
They said it's green. Okay, it's purple, but in that moment, let it be green, as long as it's allows safe space and it allows them to be safe.
mm-hmm.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
that's good. That's good. Dr. K has just joined us. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Kathy said, so is there any type of medicine to use with aphasia to keep it from getting worse?
I don't know of any type of medicine. I know there's some things on over the counter market. There are also some things that some neurologists use, but again, there's no cure. There are things you can do that possibly slow the progression down, but
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
It can't be corrected.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Dr. K, she said, I got to work on this as my mom presents more of dementia. Yes.
That's why I say you've got to utilize the resources that are available to us, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because group therapy is excellent.
Yeah.
and, I'm looking forward to the day as we grow. We're a young company to start offering group therapy. Definitely want to do that for my employees as well as family members of my clients, and really open it to the public, because
Mm-hmm.
things are not always as bad as it seems. When you start going to group therapy, you'll see and hear stories of other caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes your situation is a cupcake, uh,
Right.
you
In
know,
comparison.
in
Yeah.
comparison. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we are a little more than halfway through our conversation. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am on with Ms. Donnda Tillmon. We're talking the emotional toll of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so we have talked about some resources here locally, Big Bend Hospice, the Alzheimer's Project, the Tallahassee Senior Center. We have talked about some of the things that caregivers can do while caring for their loved one. So definitely patience, but communication, calm voice, low voice, navigating around no, reminiscing, recording history, get self care, walk away sometimes, not out the house, but walk away,
Mhm.
group therapy. And we also talked about how, and you didn't mention this now, but that correction can cause frustration.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, which can be where that combativeness comes in, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're not my mother, I'm your mother.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the other things I'd like to add to the conversation, Nicole, is that our emotional tolls for caregivers, especially our full-time caregivers to their parents or loved ones, often experienced are things such as financial strain,
Hmm.
health risk. Again, that goes back to like sometimes I will use myself as an example. Sometimes I can get very caught up in my day, and like today, I totally forgot I had not eaten.
Mm.
And we know that's not good, right? Missing meals.
It's not.
Um, and then there are times too where um, I can't sleep because the mind is constantly running as to what did I miss, what is it that I need to do for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being in the moment of the day, I'm constantly trying
Right.
to stay ahead. Um, and so we tend to neglect ourselves in being healthy. So
Hmm.
there's a huge health risk when we neglect our physical bodies. Uh,
Yes.
and then, that emotional toll of isolation, where our social lives have diminished. Um, we feel isolated because we don't have help from other family members, and we feel like they should be there, they should be, they know what's going on, and so we have a tendency to feel extremely isolated because nobody's coming to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
um, for those who are married, it places a strain on marriages because one of you become the primary caregiver
Yeah.
while also trying to handle the everyday uh, things of life, taking care of the house, the kids, work. Um, and so that's why it's very, very important for caregivers to, you got to lean on sources and others. Don't feel alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kendra said, I still had to correct for safety, but we have worked through our rough patches.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
that's what it's about, Kendra. is safety. Safety first. Every household I go into, every client I talk to, or their families, for me, it's safety first.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
That's good. That's good. Um, Looking over here, let me see. So, one of the things that I asked you about was the significance of routines.
significance of routines, I don't think are good in the such a way simply because, again, short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm not going to remember from day to day that breakfast is at 8:30. I got to take a bath by 9. I
Mm-hmm.
have to take medicines. And so pretty much you have to gauge the day and your loved one based on how they are feeling
Mm-hmm.
when, you approach them from day to day, from the start of the morning throughout the day.
Yeah.
So they may not be hungry when they first wake up. They may want to watch TV, the news, or, look in an album or something. So routines are, you can have a routine, but you
Okay.
don't put that on the actual person you're caring for.
Gotcha. So it sounds like there may be a need for a bit more flexibility.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Kendra said humor helps us.
Yes.
Nice, 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 nice. Miss Cynthia Henry just joined us. Thank you for being here. She's here in Tally. And Mr. Marcus Boston, who's in Tampa, said, I've worked in the healthcare field as a CNA, nurse tech, and an LPN. It was so hard caring for my dementia patients. Yeah.
You tend to take them home with you, not literally, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a way of causing you to fall in love with them, and they become, part of your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's tough.
Mm.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Marcus. So, oh, wait a minute. Miss Marva, she said, my sister would say if she asks you something or repeats something 100 times, answer her and don't say, you asked me or said it already. Be gentle and loving.
Exactly.
That
Just
is,
treat it as if you just heard it.
yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about. Indeed. Thank you for sharing that. So, I mean, we talked about self-care for the caregiver and some respite, right?
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
Mhm. And group therapy,
Group
which
therapy.
helpful if you can get that or get involved with a group, maybe a community online or via text or just some ways of connecting with others outside of it, especially if you are caregiving for extended periods of time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you have to step away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to step-
And so, I'm curious around kind of any other things that you are seeing that caregivers are doing to um, lighten their burden and their load or the emotional toll that caregiving may have on them.
Um, there's an increase of fostering connections.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you, online. I mean, with this whole new um, age of telehealth,
Mm-hmm.
get involved in groups. You may not be able to leave home because you're the primary caregiver with no relief,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get on the computer and find it's extremely vital to
Yeah.
foster connections.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet offers you a lot of things that are good, and so it's just a matter of doing a little research, um, and seeking those things out, talking to your primary care, or one of the things that we lack, that is offered to us that most people will not take advantage of, is patient advocates, social workers.
Mm-hmm.
So they should have some information to offer you, to help foster those connections. You
Yeah.
just have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You got to
Yeah.
communicate.
No, that's good. That's real good. Let's see. Pandora Escape said, as a caregiver, I have always been very careful, cautious, and patient every time I have to take care of a client with dementia. Miss Donnda, I'm proud to be part of your team. Oh, SLP rocks. How sweet. All right. We got Brother Malcolm who just joined us. Thank you for being here. Kathy, so what do speech therapy for aphasia and are some in Tallahassee that can help with aphasia?
Kathy Gray, come home. I got you. I promise.
Right.
That's my sister, you guys. Kathy, come home.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, speech therapy does help.
Okay.
Sure, there are plenty in Tallahassee.
Okay. Cool. Marcus, one dementia patient was an old white lady. I'll never forget her saying loudly, "Why is this ninja
Uh, uh,
in here?"
uh,
I
uh,
can't describe how I felt. It was in front of her family who just couldn't stop apologizing.
yeah, that
Mhm.
again, you have to think about the population we're dealing with baby boomers.
Yeah.
And so they speak their mind. They speak what they grew up in. And
Mhm.
as a caregiver, you can't wear your feelings on your sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
rough.
yeah.
That's rough. That's rough. All right. Okay. Miss Brandy just joined us. She's here in Tally. Thank you for being here. So again, I'm just looking at our some of my notes. So one of the things that when you and I were talking about you know, this both of these diseases is like I've heard it being described as dying a slowing by dying a slow death, and that can be pretty treacherous to observe and be around on a daily basis. And so what would your advice be to caregivers as they maybe witness the decline of their loved one while they are caring for them?
I would first say when the diagnosis is given,
Mm-hmm.
is when the toll or the anxiety starts. And so, again, I can't say it enough. You've got to educate yourself
Mm-hmm.
to be able to, learn what to do or what not to do to be able to handle, what is coming down the road.
Yeah.
Death is inevitable. None of us are ever ready for it, even when we're told that, this is what's going to happen. But again, it's about mindset. As I look at the screen, mindset,
Mm-hmm.
fostering connections, communicate.
Yeah.
You got to lean on something other than the wall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think one of the things that you and I talked about is, understanding the disease.
Yes. And again, you have to educate yourself. You know, Going to the doctor now is not like when you went in Dr. Williams' office where you can sit there for, 15
No.
minutes on an appointment and he listens to every complaint, you had and try to lend some solutions. Now you have a 15-minute appointment and no, I can't, talk about that because that's not what's on the schedule. And
Yep.
that's why it's important for us to utilize those social workers that are in that office, those
Mhm.
patient care advocates that are in the hospital, um, putting a call in to our insurance companies to see exactly, what is there for us to utilize that we often pay for throughout the month and don't have a clue that it's a benefit to us.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
No, that's good.
many of us don't know. If I wasn't in this business, I'd be one of those people who had no clue.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm still learning after 30 plus years.
Right. Right. Because I'm sure things are always changing, new technologies, new, methods, new, discoveries. And so it, like you said, you remain teachable,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So, one of the other things that you and I talked about offline is um, kind of coming to terms with the inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, as caregivers, sometimes it may be difficult for us to allow our loved one to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think that reminiscent therapy is extremely helpful,
Mm-hmm.
where there will come a point in time where our loved ones won't be able to communicate to us.
Mm-hmm.
However, they can still um, see, hear,
Mm-hmm.
and so body language, facial expressions, all of those things will be key
Mm-hmm.
to interact with, releasing them. And when I say what I mean by releasing them is, letting them know that they've done a wonderful job in raising you,
Mm-hmm.
and that they've equipped you to be able to carry on in life. That you're going to be fine
Mm-hmm.
because of the training and the love that was given by them. They
Yeah.
can actually hear that. They may not be able to communicate back to you, but it allows them some freedom too, to
Mm.
not just hold on because you're holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just that's a form of just releasing,
Mm-hmm.
being able to let go. To,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it don't you don't get over it when they take their last breath. Grief counseling again,
Mm-hmm.
fostering those connections, engaging in group and individual therapy. Big Bend Hospice has a beautiful program that they even offer a year beyond uh,
Mm.
transition. And so um, we just have to utilize.
Yeah.
And
And that grief counseling that you're speaking of is not only for folks with who have had a loved one who transitioned from dementia and Alzheimer's, but anyone who has
anyone.
had a loss of a loved one. So definitely take advantage of those resources. And you don't have to necessarily have been a patient um, of Big Man Hospice to again take advantage of the grief counseling that they offer the community. So,
Right, right. The
mm,
other thing I love about the Alzheimer's Project is they offer adult daycare at
mm,
several of the churches around town.
mm-hmm,
It's just a matter of picking up the phone, calling, letting them take some information down over the phone, social worker calling you back uh, to gather more information to see if you qualify. And I don't believe it has anything to do with, how much money you make a month or get a month. It's
gotcha.
usually space.
Mm-hmm,
And so if a caregiver needs a break, you go to one of those different daycares or the one in your area at least 2 days out of the week. So
okay.
that maybe you can go to the doctor, see about some things for yourself, or
Mm-hmm,
just maybe have a self-care day.
yeah,
Have volunteers. And so again, it's just a matter of fostering connections.
yeah, that's good. Good information. Good information. So, we have a few comments that I want to acknowledge. Oh, listen, Kendra said, "Mom loves her adult daycare. Wonderful."
Mhm.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, Janita. She said, I've heard virtual reality is an emerging as a valuable tool for dementia patients. It can be used to help with anxiety and reminiscent therapy. Interesting.
Now that she says that, I think about oftentimes I use YouTube.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, Patients with dementia and Alzheimer's, there is a study that shows where music really, really helps uh,
Mm,
with anxiety. And if you think about it, like I have a patient a client rather, who loves Luther Vandross.
Mm.
And there are days when sometimes her anxiety is pretty high, or
Mhm.
she's just not settled as to where she is.
Uh-huh.
Then green light comes on. YouTube. I
Mhm.
put on Luther Vandross, and she totally forgets what she just told me. She's up dancing and reminiscing and having so much fun and telling me stories of when she went to the concert. So
Wow. 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 Wow.
this is therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's something. Marcus said the movie The Notebook was a heartfelt story of an Alzheimer's husband's love story. Absolutely. I often think of that when I think of someone with this, this condition.
Yeah.
Joy, she said, "Good night, ladies. Just jumped on for a few. Is literally a lifelong caregiver of a disabled sister, and now my mom. This is very vital information. Caregiving is still that
Give.
caregiving. Absolutely. Thankfully, I'm not currently faced with dementia or Alzheimer's, but I will be sharing this with friends who are doing this daily for parents. Great job, baby Rattler. Nice.
Thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Joy. All right, Coach Merv over in Madison. He said, "Facts. Being a lifelong learner is key. Education is key in everything. Thank you, ma'am. Good seeing you, Nicole. Thank you, Coach Merv, for joining us." Woo! All right. So this has been a lot of again great information. At least I learned a lot. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give some closing remarks. I don't know if there was anything else. I know you had your notes and your stats and stuff all. So look at your list, your checklist, ma'am. Make sure you covered everything you wanted to
Oh,
say.
stop it, stop it, stop it. Uh, yeah, that was pretty much it. Again, I can't stress enough.
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely vital to foster, connections, respectful relationships, safe spaces to lean upon as a caregiver. Group therapy, individual therapy. We really don't have an excuse anymore, simply because telehealth has made a lot of things a little bit easier for us.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much know about what time your loved one might take a nap, then try to see if that therapist has that hour open. Um, or put on some music while you talk to your therapist to kind of entertain them. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, as Coach O'Neill would say, excuses don't get results.
All right, Coach O'Neill. All right, and then we can contact you by.
You can reach us by phone at 850-570-3121 or on our website. We are on all social media platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, under Sarah's Legacy Some Senior Care. Um, and you can always actually use our website to send in a request for consultation. Um, and honestly, if you just need somebody to talk to, I will open up my phone line from time to time, and call me. If I can't talk right then, I will certainly give you a call back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all of that. I hope you all found this to be beneficial. If you did, let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, a heart, or something. Let us know. Let us know. For those of you who may be new to my platform, I invite you to subscribe to Conversations with Nicole. We are live here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Focus on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities primarily. I thought this definitely fell under Mindset Monday and mental wellness, as we talk about caregivers and the emotional toll of caregiving and just in general. I mean, I know that Alzheimer's and dementia is a definitely a special case in terms of how you care for them, but again, caregiving in general, we just want to encourage folks to, you know,
Self
really,
care.
yes, self-care. Realize that you matter too. I know you care for somebody, but you need to care for yourself as well. So don't be as the person that Kiosha was describing that is offended because you're recommending some self-care or trying to help them with caring for themselves. Take the respite, take the break, Yeah. Set those boundaries and stick with it. Get the counseling, get the group therapy. These things are set up for you to be your best self, because if you're not, it's going to be really difficult for you to care for your loved one.
Mhm.
Right. All right. So we got folks chiming in. I love it. I love it. I love it. Great information tonight. Thank you both. You're welcome. Kathy, I pray that God heals all of them, especially the aphasia. All right. Thank you, Kathy. Shanita, very good information. Thank you. You're welcome. Great job, sis, and Nicole, twin 0604. All right. Great topic. Thank you, Dr. K. Cora Fullmore. Thank you for being here. Great conversation. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Kathy, thank you, Sister Donnda, and love you for all your work. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Steph was with us. She said, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here, Steph. Coach Merv, I need some self-care, Coach. All right, now don't play. Don't play. We need you, Coach. So yes, you better take you a day or two or something. Listen, we need you. So please get your self-care on, sir. Marcus, yes, like and subscribe. Tell him, Marcus. Marcus be my hype man. He be right there. I love it. Because sometimes I don't do good with telling the people about conversations with Nicole. But I appreciate you, Marcus. Tell the people. All right, Lisa B. Okay, calling for self-care tomorrow, Donda.
I will pick up first ring.
All right, wonderful. All right, Janita, I remember you sharing about your brother. Yes, thank you so much. So, y'all, let's please keep this conversation going. I think there are many more people who needed to hear what we said here tonight. So, please share this link with someone. Ask them to play it. If you're watching the replay, let us know where you're watching from. Put your city and state in the comments. I do go back and look at the comments that are on YouTube and Facebook. So I so appreciate you, Donda, so much for taking some time to chat with us tonight. Again, very important topic. Of course, caregiving in general, but caregiving specifically for folks with this diagnosis is so important. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. I like to, this the last thing before we
Oh,
go.
you good. Go ahead. We got time.
Conversations with Nicole is a very great resource as well. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
self care, mindset Monday. What was it that you like to say? Check up.
Get your checkup from the neck up. Yes. We want you to be your best self. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. All right. Mom said very good information. Thank you, Ma. All right. Pandora Escape Woman Power. Woo! Thanks for the conversation. Our pleasure. And Miss Brandy, awesome job. Thank y'all so much. All right, good people. We'll be back here on Wednesday talking wills and estate planning. Attorney Felicia Thomas, who has been here before. We did a show on heirs property, but again, we're talking wills and estate planning. Can't get enough of that topic either, because people ain't really doing what they supposed to be doing, but she's gonna tell you what you need to do. So tune in right here, 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Y'all have a great rest of the evening, and we will see y'all next time.
Good night.
Bye.